Bedford area. I love the brand. I love the product. Relocated here in 2018. Like I said, joined the brewery in 2019. I did that very American thing by just rocking up, finding the GM, throwing my hand in his face and introducing myself and just saying, I'm a big fan. I love what you guys are doing. I can see you've just opened up. There must be opportunities. I love beer. I love people, and I love good times. Help me out. And obviously, yeah, so I guess on a daily basis, whether that's Monday through Friday, naturally in the morning, there's definitely some admin around it. So typically I'll set myself tasks. So I do use it quite a bit for task keeping and objective handling, in combination a bit with certain other kind of aspects like Outlook and even with some kind of rudimentary spreadsheets. But at the end of the day, I do use it quite well for task making. Generally speaking as well, any calls, whether they're emails, text, or obviously in person, I religiously add any and all information, including one thing I've really taken it on board more recently, and I've been trying to get the rest of the team involved, is whenever we send out a tech engineer to do any type of servicing, I make sure to always add that information on there, just because again, it gives us a window into anything that's been done for a customer from a technical perspective. But then let's say, for instance, if somebody's off sick or somebody takes on another new account, they at least have a general reference of what might have happened, pre and post they're taking on that new account. So it's actually quite a wealth of knowledge in a lot of ways, not just from a salesman's perspective, but obviously just a general kind of account keeping method. We are going to be starting to use it a lot more religiously with forecasting. So this is another thing, obviously, with sales, is obviously having to dictate how much beer you think you're going to sell, and obviously be able to realistically track that across, month, quarter, yearly, so on and so forth. So that's one thing that as a team, we're going to have to actively continue to develop and then utilize moving forward. Another thing I find it very good is there is a friendly big brother element, is that I've got a sales team, so it gives me the ability to also track to see what those guys and the other people in my team are obviously doing, and that allows me also to tie whether that's certain tasks around developments related to one of those accounts, or it allows me to then send them on details of a post visit of mine that says, right, I need you to help me out with another tasting event on this day, or we need to get them some POS, things like that. And it just categorically helps everyone communicate on the same page and understand what's expected and what needs to be done, type thing, rather than sending random WhatsApp text messages across the board that get lost in transmission, or even emails where, I'm not gonna lie, sometimes for some people it's a quick glance over, okay, I'll just send it to my outbox or my deletion bin, whereas Bowimi really hammers it and focuses it on the fact that you really have to check off a few boxes before that task has been completed. So obviously you can make it as simple or as complicated as you want, which is one of the great strengths of using Bowimi. I personally have found, having used previous CRMs like Act and Salesforce. But what I was going to say is predominantly for insights, it's more of just kind of keeping track of what those trends are like. So seeing how many opportunities start as a prospect and then move their way through the different stages. So whether that, achieves an installation as a full conversion, or let's say, for example, well, it's fresh in my mind, I had started an opportunity about 5 months back for a golf club. They came to me inquiring about the product. I've done everything I could as far as guided tastings, giving them opportunities to learn a bit more about the brand at the brewery, obviously looking at what deals I could offer them through our supplier. And unfortunately, they just decided at this time they don't want to pursue any other new brands, but it's at least allowed me to track how long it's taken me to get from that stage to that. So I'm not saying it's a set kind of example of what's to be expected, but if by using the insights, it gives me a bit of more of a better flow of understanding of, on average, how long certain types of these opportunities might take from start to finish. As far as any other additional further insights, I would say that's probably more utilized by the likes of our sales director, our sales directors, our team, so both retail, off-trade and non-trade as well, who probably actually look at a lot of those components, but again, probably are focusing more on forecasting and identifying what's in the pipeline what's potentially coming into the pipeline and what those numbers obviously equate to for both budgets and production. So or any CRM is everything centralized. So rather than people, keeping to themselves random documents and bits and pieces, and then nothing cohesively accessible between one or two people, or obviously part of a greater team, it's definitely cut down on a lot of wastage that's resulting in people passing information backwards and forwards on a very singular kind of baseline. So in that instance, I would say it's very good. I guess the other thing is because it has the ability to be accessible and utilized mobily, it gives us the biggest benefit of that transformation of data that can happen just as quick as you want it, or you can retrieve it just as quick as you want it. I mean, for example, I'm not going to lie, I remember a lot of names, but unfortunately, I can't remember them all. But obviously in sales, it helps to engage on that level, especially if you've already built the relationship. So even for me, it sounds a bit silly, maybe trivial, but a lot of the times I utilize it on the go by just looking at previous visits, but also just names related to those types of accounts. Because obviously that, again, just gives a bit more, I guess, it creates a lot more of an ability for the customer to connect, but also I guess it gives you strength in identifying that kind of personableness, because the job is very personable. You're obviously selling a product, but people buy from, people, as cliched as it sounds. And that's one thing I've learned very quickly. As far as kind of, I guess, the conversion aspect, I'll be genuinely honest, I don't have an exact percentage on that, but I would say on my own basis, on my own usage, I would say for every, let's say 5 to 6 probably opportunities that start out as a prospect, categorically, I've been able to convert at least 1, if not maybe 2 on the whole. So I would say, given it's kind of a numbers game, and let's put it this way, the market is very difficult. It's very saturated. We are still a small and youngish brand that's certainly growing, certainly with more of the help by using things like Bowimi. But I think, like I said, at this time, that's kind of where my personal average has been. But hopefully in the new year, in the next few weeks, I'll be able to convert even more of those prospects. As far as following the path, you have to have a passion. I think that's one thing I think maybe it's something I take for granted, and it's one of these things, because I know the brand and I obviously started and I came back post lockdown, because I respect the brand, I enjoy the brand, and I enjoy the elements and the experiences into a really skewed way, and the opportunity it's given a lot of people that have come across it, whether it's because of my own self or other different levels of exposure. I guess at the end of the day, people buy from people, and as long as you're passionate, you care about what you're selling and what you stand for, I think it can be easily conveyed. It can be very natural.